The massive alien science vessel Harmony drifted through the void of space, its sensors picking up something impossible. Captain Veltar, a tall blue-skinned being with 4 arms, stared at the readings on his holographic display. His crew of the galaxy's best scientists buzzed with nervous energy around the bridge. "Sir, the readings are confirmed," chirped his navigation officer, a small insect-like creature. "There's definitely a ship approaching from the Sol system." Veltar's eyes narrowed. Sol system meant Earth, and Earth was supposed to be home to primitive creatures who had barely figured out combustion engines, according to their files. Humans were still burning fossil fuels and fighting wars over resources. They shouldn't even have space travel, let alone interstellar capability. "Impossible," muttered Dr. Clicks, the ship's chief scientist. "Our scouts reported they were at least 500 years away from basic spaceflight." The human vessel came into view, and Veltar felt his confidence shake. It was smaller than expected, roughly the size of their shuttle, but it moved with purpose through space. No visible engines, no quantum drive signatures, nothing that made sense according to galactic physics. "Open communication channels," Veltar ordered. The view screen flickered to life, revealing to humans the male had short brown hair and wore a simple blue jumpsuit. The female had red hair tied back and seemed to be taking notes on some kind of primitive tablet. Both looked remarkably calm for beings making first contact with an alien civilization. "Greetings," said the male human. "I'm Jake Miller, chief engineer of the UES Discovery. This is Dr. Lisa Andrews, our head of theoretical physics." Veltar straightened in his captain's chair. "I am Captain Veltar of the Galactic Council vessel Harmony. We did not expect to encounter spacefaring humans for several centuries." Jake grinned, showing his white teeth in what Veltar had learned was a human expression of friendliness. "Yeah, we get that a lot. Turns out our timeline was a bit optimistic." "Your ship," Dr. Clicks interrupted, unable to contain his scientific curiosity. "Our sensors detect no quantum drive, no antimatter propulsion, no gravitic manipulators. How did you achieve faster-than-light travel?" Lisa looked up from her tablet and shrugged, as if the question was routine. "Oh, we just bent space-time a little. Turns out, if you fold space the right way, you don't actually need to go faster than light. The distance just becomes shorter." The bridge fell silent. Every alien present felt their understanding of physics crumble. Bending space-time required massive amounts of energy, technology that even the most advanced species in the galaxy struggled with, yet these humans spoke about it like they were discussing the weather. "That's theoretically impossible with your level of technology," stammered Dr. Clicks. "The energy requirements alone would demand a star's worth of power." Jake and Lisa exchanged a look, and Jake scratched his head. "Well, we figured out that you don't need that much energy if you're clever about it, instead of brute force. We used resonance patterns, kind of like how a singer can shatter glass with the right note. But instead of glass, it's the fabric of space itself." Veltar felt dizzy. In all his years exploring the galaxy, meeting dozens of species, he had never encountered beings who casually revolutionized physics, like humans changing their clothes. Every other species followed the same technological progression, discovered the same principles in the same order. Humans seemed to skip entire chapters of scientific development. "Would you mind if we studied your vessel?" Dr. Clicks asked, his voice barely containing excitement. "Sure thing," Jake replied. "Fair warning though, our coffee might be a bit strong for most species. Last time we had Centaurian visitors, 3 of them passed out just from the smell." As the 2 ships began docking procedures, Veltar couldn't shake the feeling that everything the Galactic Council thought they knew about technological development was about to change forever. These humans didn't just think outside the box. They seemed completely unaware that boxes existed at all. Dr. Crixenol had spent over 2 centuries studying mathematics across 17 different star systems. His 8-foot frame towered over most beings in the galaxy, and his reputation as the Council's greatest mathematician was unquestioned today. However, he felt like a student again. staring at equations that made his brain hurt. The human scientists had been invited aboard the Harmony for what was supposed to be a simple academic exchange. Dr. Tom Rodriguez, a stocky man with graying hair, sat across from Crixinal with a relaxed smile next to him. Dr. Beth Wilson tapped her pen against her notebook, waiting patiently as the alien mathematician reviewed their work. "This is wrong," Crixinal declared, his voice echoing through the conference room. "These calculations violate the law of conservation of energy. Look here." He pointed with one of his long fingers. "You're creating energy from nothing." Tom leaned back in his chair. "Are we though? Or are we just borrowing it from somewhere else?" "Borrowing?" Crixinal's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Energy cannot be borrowed. It exists, or it doesn't." Beth looked up from her notes. "What if I told you that empty space isn't actually empty? There's energy everywhere, just waiting to be used. We're not creating energy. We're just convincing the universe to lend us some." The alien mathematician felt his certainty wavering for millennia. Every species had followed the same mathematical principles. The laws of physics were absolute, unchanging, sacred. Yet here were these humans, casually rewriting fundamental truths. "Show me," Crixinal demanded. Tom pulled out a small device, no bigger than a human palm. "This little thing powers our entire ship, according to your math." "It should be impossible. Let me run the calculations," Crixinal said, his fingers dancing across his holographic computer. The equations appeared in the air, glowing symbols that represented the fundamental forces of the universes. The simulation ran. Crixinal watched in growing horror. The human equations worked. Not only did they work, they were elegant, beautiful. Even the mathematics flowed like poetry, each variable connecting to the next in ways that shouldn't exist. "This breaks the Heisenberg uncertainty principle," he whispered. "Does it though?" Beth asked. "Or does it just work around it? We figured out that if you can't measure both position and momentum precisely, maybe you don't need to. Maybe you can make educated guesses that are good enough." The other alien scientists in the room began murmuring among themselves. Dr. Valkix, a specialist in quantum mechanics, approached the display with trembling limbs. "These formulas suggest that reality itself is negotiable." Tom chuckled. "Negotiable is a good word for it. We've always been good at finding loopholes back on Earth. Our lawyers do it with legal documents. Our engineers do it with building codes. And apparently our physicists do it with the laws of nature." "But how did you discover this?" Crixinal asked, his voice barely a whisper. Beth shrugged. "We got stuck on a problem for about 6 months. Traditional physics said our spaceship design was impossible, so we started asking different questions. Instead of how do we make this work within the rules, we asked what if the rules are wrong." The room fell silent. Every alien present understood the implications. For thousands of years, galactic civilization had progressed by following established scientific doctrine. Each species discovered the same principles in the same order, built upon the same foundations, reached the same conclusions. Humans had thrown all of that out the window. "Your species frightens me," Crixinal admitted. "You treat the fundamental constants of the universe like suggestions." "Well," Tom said with a grin, "suggestions are just advice from people who gave up too early." As Crixinal stared at the impossible equations floating before him, he realized that humanity hadn't just mastered faster than light travel, they had mastered something far more dangerous: the ability to question everything. The peaceful diplomatic meeting shattered when alarms began blaring throughout the Harmony. Captain Veltar's bridge erupted into controlled chaos as his crew scrambled to their stations. "Sir, we have multiple contacts approaching fast," reported. "The navigation officer configuration matches known pirate vessels. Looks like a full raiding party." Veltar's blood went cold. The Scarrick pirates were notorious throughout this sector, known for their brutal tactics and complete disregard for galactic law. Their ships were fast, heavily armed, and crewed by beings who saw violence as entertainment. "Begin standard retreat protocol." Veltar ordered all ships maintain safe distance of 50,000 kilometers, deploy defensive screens, and await council reinforcements. This was how civilized beings handled pirate attacks. You retreated. You defended. You waited for proper military support. It was logical, efficient, and had worked for centuries. The human ship Discovery, however, had other plans. Harmony. This is Captain Rick Davis, came the calm voice over the communication channel. We're moving to engage the hostiles. Veltar nearly dropped his command staff. Captain Davis, please maintain safe distance. These are experienced pirates with superior numbers. Copy that. Harmony. We see 6 ships, heavily armed. Should be fun. Veltar watched in disbelief as the small human vessel accelerated directly toward the approaching pirate fleet. On his sensors, he could see Commander Kate Thompson coordinating with Captain Davis, their voices steady and professional, despite flying into what looked like certain death. Human vessel, you are outnumbered, 6-1. Dr. Clicks transmitted urgently. Retreat is the logical option. Retreat. Captain Davis sounded genuinely confused. But they attacked during a diplomatic meeting. That's just rude. What happened next would haunt Veltar's dreams for years to come. Instead of firing weapons from a safe distance, like any sensible being, the Discovery did something that violated every rule of space combat. It charged straight at the largest pirate ship. They're going to ram, whispered the navigation officer, his voice filled with horror. The pirates seemed equally confused. Their weapons fired, but the Discovery's shields held just long enough at the last possible second. Captain Davis executed a maneuver that shouldn't have been survivable, spinning his ship and delivering a devastating blow to the pirate vessel's engine section. Direct hit on target 1, came Commander Thompson's report. As calm as if she was reading a grocery list. Hull breach detected their venting atmosphere, but the humans weren't done. As the damaged pirate ship limped away, the Discovery turned toward the remaining 5 vessels. Instead of pressing their advantage with conventional weapons, the humans did something even more insane. They opened their own airlocks. What are they doing? Dr. Clicks demanded, staring at his readings. The Discovery was using explosive decompression as a weapon, firing bursts of pressurized air and debris at the pirate ships with pinpoint accuracy. It was crude, it was dangerous, and it was absolutely terrifying in its effectiveness. Captain Davis, your hull integrity is compromised. Veltar transmitted desperately. You're taking massive damage. Yeah, we noticed, came the cheerful reply. But so are they. The pirates, faced with beings who fought like their ship was already lost, began to retreat. This wasn't how space combat worked. Civilized beings valued their vessels, their lives, their technology. They fought with caution and self-preservation. Men's fought like they had nothing to lose and everything to prove. Hostile vessels are withdrawing, reported Commander Thompson. Should we pursue? Negative, Captain Davis replied. Let them go. They'll spread the word that humans don't play by the rules. As the Discovery limped back toward the Harmony, trailing atmosphere and debris, Veltar realized something that chilled him to his core. The humans hadn't just won that battle through superior technology or tactics. They had won because they were willing to sacrifice everything, including themselves, to achieve their goals. In a galaxy where every species fought to preserve their ships and crew, humans fought to win, regardless of cost. Dr. Velkix had seen many worlds in his long career as the Council's chief xenobiologist, but nothing had prepared him for the data streaming across his screens. The file marked Cell 3, Classification. Deathworld 12 glowed ominously on his display, and with each piece of information he read, his 4 hearts began beating faster. This cannot be accurate, he muttered, his tentacles trembling as he rechecked the atmospheric readings. No intelligent life could evolve under these conditions. Yet, standing right in front of him were 2 humans, looking perfectly comfortable in the Harmony's carefully controlled environment. Dr. James Parker, a tall man with sandy hair, was examining some of Velkix's biological samples with genuine interest. Dr. Rachel Brown sat nearby, casually munching on something she called a granola bar that probably would have poisoned half the species in the galaxy. Your homeworld, Velkix began carefully. The gravity is listed as 98 meters per second squared. That's nearly 3 times our galactic standard. James looked up from the microscope. Yeah? Earth's pretty heavy makes traveling to other planets feel like bouncing around on trampolines heavy. Velkix's voice cracked. Your bones should have been crushed during development. Your cardiovascular system should have failed before you reached maturity, Rachel laughed. A sound that somehow managed to be both pleasant and terrifying. Our bones are pretty dense. Sure, but that just makes us harder to break back home. We have sports where people deliberately crash into each other at high speeds. The alien biologist felt faint for recreation. Oh yeah, James nodded enthusiastically. Football, hockey, rugby. Rachel here used to play roller derby. That's where they strap wheels to their feet and try to knock each other down while racing around a track. Velkix quickly moved to the next item on his list. Hoping for something less horrifying, your atmospheric composition includes 21% oxygen. That concentration would cause violent combustion reactions in most biological systems. Well, we did evolve from creatures that learned to breathe fire, Rachel said, with a straight face. You what? Velkix nearly fell from his chair. James chuckled. She's kidding, but oxygen is pretty reactive stuff. Makes us good at healing, and gives us lots of energy, sometimes too much energy. Which is why we invented extreme sports. The data kept getting worse. Velkix scrolled through weather patterns that read like descriptions of planetary disasters. Your world experiences temperature variations of over 100 degrees storms, with wind speeds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour. Frozen precipitation that accumulates in meters-deep layers. Winter's my favorite season, Rachel said cheerfully. There's nothing like building a snowman with your kids. Then going inside for hot chocolate by the fire. You deliberately expose your offspring to these conditions. How else would they learn to handle it? James asked. We've got kids who go camping in blizzards for fun, build shelters out of snow and ice, then sleep in them overnight. Velkix was beginning to understand why humans seemed so casual about danger. They had been forged in conditions that would sterilize most worlds, but the worst was yet to come according to this data. Your planet is inhabited by predatory species that hunt purely for pleasure, not sustenance. Oh, you mean cats? Rachel nodded. Yeah. They're adorable. Most families keep them as pets. Pets? Velkix's voice was barely a whisper. Sure, dogs evolved from pack hunters, but we bred them to be companions, though some people keep more exotic pets. My neighbor has a python that's 12 feet long. James pulled out his communication device and showed Velkix a picture. This is my daughter, with our dog, Max. He's a German shepherd, bred from wolves. The image showed a small human child hugging a creature that looked capable of tearing apart most galactic species. Both the child and the predator appeared perfectly happy. Your species domesticated apex predators, Velkix said slowly, and gave them to your children as companions. Well, when you put it that way, it does sound pretty metal. Rachel grinned as Velkix stared at the impossible data. He finally understood humans hadn't just survived on a death world. They had thrived, adapted, and turned the deadliest planet in known space into home. The Grand Council chamber had seen many historic moments over the past 1,000 years, but nothing quite like this. Representatives from 47 different species sat in their designated sections, all eyes focused on the 2 humans standing calmly at the center of the vast circular room. Ambassador John Mitchell adjusted his simple black suit and smiled at the assembled aliens next to him. General Lisa Parker stood with military precision, though her expression remained friendly and approachable. Neither human seemed intimidated by the hundreds of beings staring at them with mixtures of awe, fear, and curiosity. High Chancellor Zekdar, a massive crystalline being who had led the council for over 2 centuries, activated his translation matrix. His voice echoed through the chamber with the weight of absolute authority. We have reviewed your species' capabilities, he began, and frankly, we are concerned. John nodded thoughtfully. That's understandable. We know we do things a bit differently, interrupted Counselor Vexmira, her insectoid features clicking with agitation. You treat the laws of physics like suggestions. You use your own ships as weapons, you keep apex predators as household companions, and you evolved on a planet that should have killed you before you developed intelligence, added Dr. Clicks, who had been invited to present his findings to the council. General Parker stepped forward slightly with respect. Counselors, every species here today overcame challenges. To reach the stars, we just happened to face different ones. High Chancellor, Zekthar's crystalline form pulsed with light. Your challenges were impossible, yet you not only survived them, you flourished. This suggests your species possesses capabilities that could destabilize galactic civilization. John exchanged a glance with Lisa before responding. We're not here to destabilize anything. We want to learn from you, trade with you, maybe help solve some problems together. That is precisely what worries us, muttered Counselor Crixenel, the mathematician, who had been haunted by human equations for weeks. You see problems where we see natural limitations. The chamber fell silent as the weight of that statement settled over everyone present for millennia. Galactic civilization had operated on the principle that certain things were simply impossible energy limitations. Physical laws, biological constraints. These were the boundaries within which all species learned to exist. Humans seemed unaware that boundaries existed at all. May I ask a question? John said politely. The council gestured for him to continue. How long has it been since any species in this room made a major scientific breakthrough? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Species known for their academic achievements shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The last significant advancement was the quantum stabilizer, admitted Dr. Velkix, developed by the Zentarians approximately 300 years ago. Before that, gravitic shields, 400 years ago, developed by the Korthok Empire. John nodded slowly. And before that, faster-than-light communication. Roughly 600 years ago, General Parker spoke up. In the past year alone, humans have developed 17 new technologies that your experts claimed were impossible, not difficult, not impractical, impossible. This is exactly our concern. High Chancellor Zekthar declared. You do not respect the natural order. The natural order, John repeated. Thoughtfully, can I tell you what we see when we look at the galaxy? We see species that have achieved incredible things, then stopped trying. You've created a civilization based on the idea that you've learned all there is. To learn, the accusation stung because it was true. Most council species had reached technological plateaus centuries ago, content to maintain their achievements rather than push for new ones. We're not here to replace anyone or take over anything, Lisa continued. We're here to ask, what if? What if energy isn't limited? What if space travel could be instant? What if we could terraform dead worlds, or cure diseases that have plagued species for generations? Counselor Vexmira, as clicking grew more agitated. And if your what-ifs prove dangerous? John smiled. Then we'll figure out how to make them safe. That's what humans do. We solve problems. As the council debated humanity's place in galactic society, one truth became increasingly clear. The galaxy had spent thousands of years learning to live within limits. Humans had spent their entire existence learning to break them. The question now was whether the galaxy was ready for a species that saw every impossibility as merely a challenge waiting to be conquered.